A strange alien fell through Earth's atmosphere. Below, a man retrieving a deer he'd hunted heard a crash and went to investigate. A scream echoed. His dogs fled, and he never returned. Renee, a young girl, burned her dead lizard in a small funeral. Inside, she greeted her mother, argued with her stepfather Chase, then left for school. Quiet and isolated, she endured her classmates' mockery. When asked in class about a man's suicide, she said he'd been misunderstood and disconnected. The class laughed.
He was alone.
At lunch, a boy named Gil sat with her, interested, but she pushed him away. After school, her mother arrived late. Renee told her to leave Chase, calling him a burden. Her mother refused, saying he needed her, and that made her feel wanted.
He needs me, and that's a nice feeling.
At home, Renee fed her snake, Graham, singing softly. During dinner, Chase erupted when he discovered she'd microwaved a dead mouse. He threw food in her face. Furious, she ran outside as her mother and Chase shouted. She jumped on her ATV and sped into the desert. In the dark, her flashlight caught a crater. Inside was an alien bound in chains beside a wrecked car. When the light hit, it screamed and lunged, trapped by the chains. Renee fell back, watching it thrash and cry out. Then it went still, sitting across from her. She saw the metal cutting into its flesh. Moved by pity, she freed the chain from the car and fled home through the night. The next morning, she couldn't stop thinking about it. On her way to school, helicopters swept across the sky. In class, she made a list of supplies to help the alien. After school, she asked Gil for a camera and persuaded him to lend it. At home, Chase tried to make peace, but she brushed him off. Gathering her gear, including Gil's gun, Renee set out again. At the crash site, she searched the wreckage until she found the alien lying still. She set up the camera, recording a message for her mother in case something happened. When he didn't move, she freed the chain from his leg and turned to get the camera for a close-up. Suddenly, he lunged. She fell, frozen. The alien screamed, then stopped without hurting her. Realizing he wasn't hostile, Renee spoke to him, offering an apple he refused. Helicopters thundered overhead, and she warned him the people in them were dangerous.
All they want to do is cut you up.
Later at home, she watched the footage, stunned by what she'd captured. Remembering she'd left the gun, she went outside and found the alien hiding near her house. Alarmed, she whispered that if anyone saw him, they'd attack. Together, they went into the desert to retrieve it.
Since you can follow.
As they walked, he suddenly vanished. She screamed. In an instant, he reappeared, screamed, and a beam of light shot from his mouth to her face, binding them in a mysterious connection. At dawn, she woke to find him still there. Relieved, she hugged him and led him home, sneaking him into the basement and telling him to stay hidden.
Hide.
Meanwhile, detectives searched the crash site. Renee skipped school. After her stepfather and mother left, she called her mom to ask when she'd return, then brought the alien upstairs. She showed him around and offered food, but he refused.
Gotta be hungry.
Renee introduced him to her pets, warning him not to eat them because they were his friends now. She named him Croak and played her guitar. As music filled the room, his scales trembled. Gently, she promised to protect him. When her mother came home early, she rushed Croak into her room, helped him out the window, and down to the basement before she saw him. As Renee was getting him settled, Gil arrived asking for his camera. Her mother let him into her room. When Renee returned and learned he was there, she rushed in and found him watching the footage. Furious, she demanded it back. He refused, insisting she explain. She lied, saying it was an animal video she planned to sell. He didn't believe her. Their argument grew heated until her mother burst in, assuming something inappropriate, and ordered the door kept open.
That's fine. You just go now, please.
When she left, Gil pressed again. Desperate, Renee decided to show him. She led him to the basement, where Croak stood in the shadows. Gil froze, then fainted in terror. When he woke, he screamed and tried to run, but Renee stopped him, insisting Croak wasn't dangerous. He refused to believe her until she sang softly. Croak's scales shimmered, and Gil saw the bond between them.
Yeah, I thought that might happen.
Renee helped him outside and gave him a towel for his soaked pants. Once calm, he promised to keep her secret. Unbeknownst to them, detectives nearby were taking pictures of them.
But it's something.
Later, she played her guitar for Croak again. He refused food and she worried. The next morning, Gil suggested taking him into the desert to hunt. Renee refused, reminding him detectives were still searching, but he convinced her to go south instead.
It's the hunt.
That night, they took Croak to the desert and found wild pigs. Renee told him to hunt, and he did, devouring them one by one. Relieved to see him eat, she watched while Gil looked on in horror. As Croak fed, they talked quietly. She told Gil about her father's death and how her mother had moved them to escape the pain.
Needed a change.
After Croak finished eating, Renee led him home to the basement. In the living room, she found Chase drunk. Their talk turned into an argument. He accused her of disrespect. When she tried to leave, he grabbed her, and the fight turned physical. Below, Croak sensed her fear. As her mother ran in to stop them, Croak slammed the basement wall, shaking the house. Her mother froze, thinking it was an earthquake. Then silence fell. When it ended, her mother kicked Chase out and tried to comfort Renee. She pushed her away and ran to the basement, shouting at Croak never to do that again. They sat quietly until their anger faded.
You can't be doing this. You could get caught.
The next morning, an agent investigating the crash stopped Renee and said they needed to talk. She told him to speak with her mother, but he insisted. Reluctantly, she got in his car. He brought up a gun found at the crash site registered to her stepfather. Renee said it was Chase's and that her mother had left him. The agent noted her fingerprints were on it. She said she'd been practicing shooting. He told her it wasn't illegal but believed she knew more, handing her his card before letting her go. Later, her mother called a plumber to fix the water. When he went into the basement, he found Croak. Startled, he swung a tool, hitting him. Croak lashed out. The plumber fled, bleeding, called 911, and crashed his car. After school, Renee's mother picked her up. They argued. Renee accused her of refusing help since her father's death. Her mother said she'd sold their old house because she couldn't afford their bills. At home, her mother mentioned that the plumber who had been fixing their water had vanished and hadn't answered later. She told Renee to use bottled water. Panic hit Renee. She ran to the basement and found Croak trembling in the blood-splattered shadows. Heartbroken, she told him he couldn't hurt anyone again and decided to move him somewhere safer.
I'm just gonna call another plumber, or come down here herself.
While Gil was taking out the trash, an agent approached, saying he could use Gil's help. The encounter left him uneasy. Meanwhile, Renee and Croak headed into the desert. Gil called and she told him to meet her at their usual spot.
Yeah, can you make it?
Yeah, as soon as my...
When they met, Gil said the agent had claimed Croak was dangerous and urged him to cooperate. Nervous, Gil suggested turning Croak in. Renee refused and asked if he'd said anything. He swore he hadn't. She made him promise to stay silent, explaining her plan to take Croak deep into the desert in her stepfather's van until it was safe. Gil said the agent had threatened his immigrant family. They agreed to meet again after gathering supplies.
With the tent.
Hey, Gil.
At home, Renee packed food and supplies, said goodbye to her animals, wrote her mother a letter, and slipped out to the van.
Nigga took my keys.
Just as she started the engine, her stepfather appeared with a rifle. He forced her back inside, shouting for her mother. Trembling, Renee froze. Her mother tried to calm him, but he wouldn't listen. Far away, Croak sensed her fear and ran toward the house. Inside, Chase's rage grew. He shouted that Renee was why her mother never loved him. Her mother lunged, yelling for Renee to run. When Renee tried to escape, he grabbed her and aimed the rifle. Croak burst in, attacking and killing him. Renee screamed for him to stop, but Croak roared back, as if saying he was protecting her, then fled into the desert. Moments later, Gil arrived and saw the aftermath. Horrified, he vomited. Renee grabbed her bags to follow Croak, but Gil stopped her, saying it was over. When she demanded what he meant, he confessed he'd told the agents everything. As she turned to flee, the agent appeared and shot her ATV tire.
I don't want to be the bad guy.
They captured Renee, attaching wires to her head to study her link with Croak. As agents watched, the lead agent approached, apologized coldly, then broke her finger. Out in the desert, Croak felt her pain and charged toward her. When he arrived, the agents fired a freezing weapon, freezing his body. Renee screamed for them to stop, shouting that they were killing him, but no one listened. They loaded Croak into a transport and took him to a secure facility, while Renee was moved to an interrogation room.
How long are we going to hold it?
Transport's already inbound.
When the agent returned, Renee glared through tears, calling him cruel and unforgivable, then spat in his face. He wiped it away and said she didn't understand, claiming the creature was dangerous. She said that Croak wasn't a monster, he was her friend. He told her to cooperate, warning that Croak's kind had been sent by beings far worse and that compassion could doom humanity.
For all the horrible things they've already done.
Renee refused. His tone turned cold as he threatened her, saying he would make her life miserable if she didn't cooperate. Outside, his partner urged him to stop, warning that their superiors wouldn't approve, but he ignored him.
Go. The directors won't care, Brown, because the directors won't know about her.
Renee's mother was brought in holding her letter. Tearfully, she said everything Renee wrote was true and apologized for not listening sooner. Renee sat in shock as her mother told her she had her father's heart and begged her never to lose it. Before they could say more, the agent pulled her mother away. Soon after, Gil arrived at the station, desperate to see Renee. As agents waited for her decision, Renee sat silently. The pain in her broken finger was unbearable, but she pressed it, hoping Croak would feel it through their bond. Somewhere in the facility, he began to stir. When nothing happened, she bent another finger until it snapped. The pain made her scream. At that moment, Croak roared and broke free. Alarms blared as agents rushed to stop him. Croak tore through the corridors as sirens blared and gunfire erupted. He crashed through door after doors until reaching the interrogation room. With one blow, he smashed it open, sending agents sprawling. As he moved to attack, Renee shouted for him to stop, begging him not to become the monster they claimed he was. Croak froze, then stepped back. Renee grabbed keys from a fallen agent and freed herself. They burst outside and she led him toward an agent's car. Inside, the lead agent grabbed his rifle and ran after them. At the same time, her mother escaped her holding room and froze at the sight of fallen officers.
Oh, come on!
Outside, Renee had almost reached the car when the agent appeared with his gun raised. She ducked behind the vehicle, shouting for Croak to stay down, but he wouldn't. Bullets tore through the air as he fired. Croak rose to protect her.
Get down! No! No!
The agent emptied his rifle into Croak's chest, but Croak kept moving, striking him down before collapsing beside him. Renee ran to his side, sobbing as yellow blood spread across the ground. Her mother rushed out and held her while Croak lay motionless. Later, Renee sat on the porch, softly playing her guitar while her mother cooked inside. The music drifted through the still desert air.
The evening sun.
In a sterile lab, scientists gathered around Croak's body. As they spoke, he regained consciousness and a piercing scream filled the room.